Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches, where we connect compassion with needs as we inspire growth with dignity. You'll find us in special places throughout the community. For those who remain hungry, we provide meals. For those who are challenged, we build wheelchair ramps. We comfort those who are ill, minister to those who are confined, and we remain an advocate for change and understanding on behalf of every element of our community. Connect and inspire. Encounter the Broome County Council of Churches.
Good morning. I'm Jeff Kellam. Welcome to this week's edition of Encounter. We're on my back porch, and it seems a safe place to conduct an interview, and we're at safe distance with one another, my guest and I. There may be some issues with being outdoors. We're not far from Lockheed Martin, so there may be a helicopter. We may hear some geese in the wetland back here. There may be some other birds flying around, but at least it's not nighttime where the coyotes could raise kind of an issue. I hear them complain every once in a while. Today we're going to be talking about Habitat for Humanity, specifically the Broome County affiliate. And as we talk about Habitat, we're going to be talking about how this pandemic is influencing nonprofits of all kinds. We know that it's not just a matter of fundraising, but the work that they do in our communities and how this pandemic is influencing their work, sometimes limiting it, sometimes offering them creative ways to respond. So my guest is Amy Winans. And Amy, in the mail today, we got this, thanks for being a volunteer, and we got that. And I looked at that, I thought, great, it's a number 9. Now all we need. But I realized, tell me what this is.
So that is affectionately called a key thing. It is a 3D printed tool that my daughter and husband have been printing out. It helps you to avoid touching buttons and pulling doors open. So I use mine when I go to the post office, hook it on to the latch of the mailbox. Yeah. The ATMs, if you're pressing buttons, if you have a lever door, you can pull it down so it goes on your key ring. And it helps you to avoid any of that contact.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
That's a key to being safe. Well, let's talk a little bit about Habitat. Let's review, first of all, in general terms, what Habitat for Humanity is all about.
So in Broome County, we celebrated our 25th anniversary recently, so we're chugging quickly towards our 30 years here. And we provide simple, decent, affordable home ownership opportunities for partnership families in need. They've been successful renters, they're ready to move on to the next stage of their life. And that conventional route of affordability of a home that's not going to be putting them upside down with major repairs, this gives them the opportunity to buy a home that is in wonderful condition with some supportive finance and education from Habitat and our partnering agencies to get them in an affordable opportunity that breaks the cycle of poverty, improves health, wellness, education. We're really excited to bring families to that next stage of their life.
That's wonderful. And you know, we've heard about Habitat for Humanity for many years, and it's, do you have, well, you want to make a guess at how many homes Habitat for Humanity has built in Broome County?
Oh, in Broome County, we're hitting our 30. Wow. We're about to break that barrier, and globally, I've lost track. We are in the top 10 builders in the United States.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. So my last count, I knew that it was 500,000, and it's chugging along. As creative ways to increase capacity have happened. So many amazing things. Houses that are the concrete printed foundations and things like that. There's so many new ways to build that they go faster and faster.
And how many homes are in progress right now that may be on hold?
So that's part of this pandemic for us. So we are wrapping up the very final details of a house on Glenwood Road in the town of Dickinson, Johnson City School District, but still with a Binghamton address. So we're finishing that up. We have a family that's in the pipeline now. They're finishing up the last of their requirements. This has stalled that greatly as they work on income hurdles and banking hurdles. That's been a little bit tough. We are doing the exterior work on a house on the south side of Binghamton on Burlington Street up in the Ross Park Zoo area. So that house is the kitchen's in, the siding is going on, exterior work, and then we are doing our prep work for the foundation. We have a partnership with Broome Tioga BOCES.
Right.
And so we have land that needs to be cleared and a foundation to pour. And in June, we were supposed to pick up that house off of the Broome Tioga BOCES campus and move it to our new location. But unfortunately, because of our essential workforce being shut down, we could not have the lot cleared. We don't have the landscape or the tree folks to do that. Can't dig the foundation. It's not essential construction. So we're stalled for the moment.
So as we move toward the first part of opening up, the first level of opening up, does that influence habitat?
It doesn't, unfortunately. So everyone got very excited. We have amazing volunteers. That's our model, that we are leveraging volunteer labor to keep our costs down and to build that affordable opportunity. So when the governor announced that phase 1 construction, I think our volunteers thought, great, we're back to work. Sure. But really at the end of the day, we're a nonprofit human services organization. We're not contractors, we're not construction professionals.
Even though you're one of the top 10
Even though we're one of the top 10 builders, yes. So, and it is different habitats across the state. Broome is a small affiliate. We don't have any paid construction folks on our payroll. Other affiliates do. Other affiliates may be at a different stage of construction with paid construction folks. So they can open up a little bit differently. The average age of a habitat volunteer is 71. So you're talking about opening up.
Was that nationally, or is that
in Broome
local?
County?
Okay.
In Broome County, but it does tend to be an organization that's drawing retired folks, so the ages they are up there a little bit. But for us, we're talking about a vulnerable population coming together to work together. We have to be very careful how we re-enter. So we're not quite there yet, but we are talking about it, making plans, figuring out how to divide the crews across our project so we can keep moving and keep going, keeping in mind money, as funds come in. What does that look like on a cash flow basis? We are not getting the same types of donations in. Churches aren't gathering on Sundays. I mean, it rolls out in so many ways. There's many layers to how this impacts the nonprofit.
Have a sip of coffee while I phrase my next question. I've sneaked in one myself. How are the guys coping with being off work now? I mean, these are people who have been on the job lovingly. These are labors of love, these houses.
They're friends, so it's guys and a lady or two. And so right away, my heart was crushed because I know how important that social impact is. And I needed a way for them to come together. So before Zoom got zooming and before it was really cool, we were on that right away. And really that's just thanks to the fact that I have a 17-year-old daughter who's really onto that. So we started doing a virtual coffee break every Wednesday and Saturday. So it was neat to see how that would populate. The first time it was a couple people who called in on their landlines, and then slowly they would download the app and I would start to see faces and video, and then microphones were turning on. And now we have a decent gathering. Today I think there were a dozen people on the call. And it varies. I have some that are on every one, some that pop in occasionally, but we talk about anything, nothing. Construction, habitat, or grandkids, or gardens being planted. So we've created a new way to make that happen, and I love it. I typically am going to the job site on a coffee break. I'm popping in, I'm having my quick conversation, dropping something off, and then I'm gone. And I've been able to spend an hour quality conversation with people who I love. I love these people. It's been really wonderful.
And I get the feeling they love you too. There are signs of affection there all over.
They're showing, the projects that they're working on. We have one gentleman who's made a model car. He's an amazing woodworker, so he shows that off. I mean, just all those fun things. Sure. Yeah.
Now, I want to go to the fact that Habitat for Humanity all over is funded in part by the mortgages of the previous homes that have been purchased. And we want to say these are not homes that are given away. These are homes that are purchased with affordable mortgages. When folks are going through this pandemic and are perhaps losing their jobs or being laid off for a time, that influences your getting the benefit of those mortgages being paid.
It does. So it was very scary when it was announced that there would be 90-day forbearances for mortgages. So all of us who are Habitat affiliate directors took a real deep breath because we weren't really sure what that was going to look like for us. Yeah. So some affiliates still hold their mortgages, others have since shopped them out or they've sold them off. We still hold all of ours. So we have 27 mortgages in our portfolio that we hold in service. So let's say that all 27 families decided to take that forbearance. That's a huge percentage of our monthly cash flow. So the first thought was, okay, we need to identify who our families are, where are they at. We have 71% hardship. Those who right out of the gate either lost their job or they were dealing with a child care crisis because they were essential workers and had more time, you name it. So we looked at that right away, and we were really nervous that we would have a lot of people jump on that. We have, to date, today in May, everyone has paid their mortgage on time. And I'm so proud of that. It speaks volumes to the homeowner education that I think we've done over the years, and understanding that unless you have that roof over your head, that what we try to teach is the value of home, the equity you have in your home, the protection, the safety, all of those things. If you don't have that, then what? Yeah. So I think our families have made that their very first priority, that if they can keep that roof over their head and keep their utilities on, keep food on the table, the rest of it we'll figure out. Yeah. So they've been very communicative with us and what their needs are. We've helped them navigate through. We've taken a look at escrows to see if anybody has a little extra in there that they don't have to make as big of a payment. So we've worked with them, and we're so blessed that we're at that point.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Our guest today on Encounter is Amy Winans, who's the executive director, is that what your title is, of the Broome County affiliate of Habitat for Humanity. And we're talking about some of the issues that Habitat for Humanity and other nonprofits face in this pandemic, when fundraising is a little bit challenged and the work stops, and these nonprofits are made up of volunteers who really want to do good for the community. But if they are isolated, then that makes it a little bit more difficult, especially when you're talking about a hands-on kind of a nonprofit like Habitat for Humanity. Raising the Roof has been traditionally your big fundraiser. It's a gala or gala. It's a feat or fate. It's it's quite the big deal.
It's quite a big deal.
Yeah.
Well,
and now what?
To be determined. Yeah. It's in October 22nd. So we have some time. We haven't made a final decision. So right now we've just said save the date and we'll see what happens. But before that, we've already canceled other events. We had a Brew Fest that was set for next week. That's been canceled. We had a couple of turnkey restaurant type of fundraisers. Those were canceled because the restaurants aren't able to serve in that way. We have a couple things up for the summer that are in question, a golf tournament that we think is not going to be able to happen in the fall. So those are some pretty big hits. So we're hoping that something could happen with Raising the Roof, but right now, nothing is really officially open, and we're not sure where our entertainers are going to be. What does that look like? Sure. Are people psychologically going to be ready to come back? Yeah. So we're really looking at all of those indicators. We don't want to spend money on an event if people aren't ready to come. But we also don't want to short-side our celebrations. We still have some amazing things to celebrate and friends to make, and there may be a way. So on hold for now. Right. On hold for now.
There's always hope for all of us who want to get back out into, just into social things, whether it's a backyard picnic with some friends or a larger event.
It's an opportunity to be really creative, though. There are some fundraisers that we've talked about that are and I'm not going to give them away, they're trade secrets at the moment, but some things that we would have never thought about before. So we're thinking out of the box, which is great. Even in terms of the crew, I talked about the coffee breaks and ways to stay busy. There are a few that are working on little projects that can help us with fundraisers later down the line. We talked about our impact in the neighborhood. There's a gentleman who's working on a tiny library. We recently purchased the house next door to our current office. And we were talking about expanding, doing some education, some community events, other things in that wonderful space, moving our board meetings there. And we talked about a tiny library. There are a lot of kids in that neighborhood. So a new way to engage. So I think some great things will come out of this. It's definitely a troubled, challenging time.
And that's something that's being done in somebody's basement. I mean, they could get together and make the pieces and then have someone show up. We're not allowed, I mean, we're not disallowed from going outside, so I think that's probably...
The neighbors across the street, they are taking care of our flower beds and mowing our lawn, and it's wonderful for them to get out and about, and that's been great. Today I felt so good. I was in the office, I saw the neighbors across the street, I saw the mailman. I felt like I had a holiday party today. I saw, I think, 5 different people. And everyone is being really cautious, careful, but people are ready. They're ready to give back to the passions of their heart. Habitat certainly is that for so many people. And across the state, the leaders across New York State, the Habitat affiliates, we gather every week to have phone calls. And we're also very different. Some have restores, some do not. Some have paid staff, some do not.
Define a restore.
It's a retail location similar to a Salvation Army or something like that, where you take in donated items, household items, building materials, furniture, and it's sold to go back to the mission. So we don't have one in Broome County, but those that do, you know, they had more people that they had to figure out, what are we going to do with this workforce? Do we lay them off? Do we re-engage them? They've been very creative. Some are now delivering food for other organizations. So people have really stretched their mission, and they've shared their tools with each other, shared their staff. So it's been a wonderful time of watching people collaborate, things that we never talked about collaborating on before.
And tell me about your staff now. What are they all working from home, or are they not?
A little bit of both. So we're small. We have 3 of us are in the office, and we could socially distance while we're there. However, there are some at-risk situations. One of our staff has an elderly parent. Another has, you know, some health complications with someone that she caretakes for. So we've been very careful. So 2 of the 3 of us are trading days. So I go in a day, the next day she goes in, and we just stay apart. And the 3rd is home, working remotely. And that in itself had challenges and expense, and just figuring out how to make that work. You know, how do we talk to each other? How do we pass documents back and forth? Who has what? Who has a good internet connection? Who doesn't? So we've worked through that, and we giggle a little bit now that it's almost time to come back, and we've just figured it all out.
You brought a mask with you.
I did. So I actually have 2. So to keep my volunteers busy, my family, we've been making these masks that are part of the Turban Project. So this is one that my daughter made. So it's not as pleated as some of the other ones you might see. But in order to keep humming along, I have a volunteer who has taken our fabric and he's pre-cut it. So that's if you sew, you know, that's a huge time commitment to cut all that fabric to size. So I give him yardage of elastic and yardage of interfacing and fabric. He takes it, he cuts it, he delivers it back to my front porch. It's wonderful. And then there's another volunteer who has brought out the Singer that he bought from Singer Link many years ago, and his mother taught him to sew. So this is one of my Habitat construction guys, and his stitches are amazing. I was so impressed. So he's made, I think they call this the Nurse 4. There are all these different designs. I feel like I'm a mask expert now, but there's a pocket and a drawstring, so this goes around and this flips up and you pull it tight. But because he's an engineer and you know, a Habitat creative guy, he found out that there is biosmart fabric, so he had to have the best building materials to build this mask. So we're 3D printing ear savers to take the the elastic, the pull off. So we have some volunteers that are, my daughter prints them, and some of the Habitat volunteers have clipped away the extra strings or helping us to deliver them.
Wow.
So it's fun how they've jumped into some of the things that my family has been doing, and then it's been part of our mission beyond that.
Well, I saw an email or something that you had sent that said that the guys working construction, and you have a couple of women too working construction, but they know how to measure and they know how to cut. So a mask should be a piece of cake.
I have never had nicer squares. If we could take this into quilting, it would be wonderful. But they've used this time to learn too and improve their skills. So I have copies of How to Build a House, which some of us have giggled about. We've been at this for almost 3 decades now, so we should know how to do it. But just taking the time to now sit down with a cup of coffee and read through some materials, do some online trainings. There's been some opportunities to really learn and grow. Even learning Zoom and learning how to do Teams and all of these new gatherings. Some of our folks have jumped on Facebook for the first time. So that's been, I think, a great skill set challenge for some people.
More coffee. Is it getting cold? Is it getting cold? Mine is getting.
It's a good jazz.
It's still drinkable. Yeah, I have the official Bill Carter Jazz Belongs in Church. He does not pay me for this. It's another nonprofit. We should do a program sometime with all of the performers who now are at home and are not able to perform.
That is part of our Raising the Roof challenge. Who do we call in, and what does that look like? And even it's about our donors. How do we ask for money? What is an appropriate ask? So something that I tell my board of directors, which is also meeting by Zoom, so that's new too. All of our boards and committees, we're used to being together. Here in Broome County, when we had the flood of 2011, when all this hit, I pulled out the playbook. What did we do then? What did it look like? We couldn't be in our offices. We were downtown Binghamton at the time. Some of the streets were closed. There was cleanup to do. If not, our volunteers had their own problems to take care of. So we took a break. We took a pause from construction. We worked on our friends and neighbors and other people in need. But when you put that in perspective, that was a couple of weeks at best, right? It just our small little community. And that set our strategic plan and our family selection and all the things that we do, that set us off beat. I think it would be fair to say a good 1.5 to 2 years from our normal rhythm as we played some catch up. Even in terms of our corporate donors and private donors and churches who sent out a lot of mission money at that time. It took some time. So now let's put that on not just the local scale for months, but the statewide, nationally, internationally. So I don't think that we've yet begun to unpack what the impact is going to be. I was on a webinar today about how to examine the fiscal impact to your nonprofit. How do you get down to the real brass tacks of what is your core mission? Who are you? What is absolutely essential? How do you engage? How do you plan? And how do you prepare? Pivot is the new word. That's the buzzword. Pivot. How do you pivot? And every day there's something else that I think about that we need to consider.
Are you still looking for volunteers even though things are quiet?
We're not taking new volunteers at this time.
And what about home applications?
Home applications, absolutely. I had one today. I was very excited to have it. So we do have houses, we have opportunities, but until we know what our plan is, and also even from an insurance perspective, insurance companies are changing what their expectations are for volunteers.
Layer after layer.
Layer after layer. So it's affecting operations. How do you engage with your staff? How do we re-enter, make everyone feel safe? It's not just about coming back, it's about coming back with a sense of security. What's our cleaning procedure? What's our, we have a very open space. What does that look like? How does everyone feel safe? Do you open the door and let the mailman in? Are you by appointment only? All of those layers. So putting those plans in place And we're a very social. Habitat's a big family. We're a ball of hug at Habitat. That's what we are. Yeah. So how do you take an organization that is just so incredibly social and warm and engaging and family oriented? I use the term, I feel like I'm sterilizing something that's so beautiful. Like how do we do that? Right. We're getting there though. I think we're navigating that. Yeah.
Let's talk quickly about your website, because I know if anyone has any curiosity at all about Habitat for Humanity locally, if they go to your website, they'll find answers to a lot of their questions.
I hope so.
So the website is where? It's
www.broomehabitat.org. And there are tabs for volunteering, tabs for home ownership, tabs to donate. We're also pretty active on Facebook. So it's Broome Habitat. Find us on Facebook. We try to post often whatever's going on. And we do fun things on there too. Yeah.
So it's broomehabitat.org.
Broomehabitat.org.
And then and you're in Endicott.
We are in Endicott.
What's the address there?
It's 103 Adams Ave.
Not that we're encouraging folks to drop in during this time.
But you know, we love it when people drive by. A lot of folks don't know where it is. So, you know, we say, if you know where the old IBM Heritage Building is, if you go around that corner, that's Adams Ave. Yeah. And we blend in with the neighborhood. We built that building to look like, you know, the other houses and now we have the house on the corner as well, and we're excited for that. We had big plans for that house. Yeah.
We don't have time to talk about those plans now. We will do it again. Amy Winans, thank you so much for joining us for this experiment in our backyard, in our back porch. And I appreciate so much your being with us and talking about Habitat for Humanity. Our thanks to you for watching and listening to the Encounter program, produced by the Broome County Council of Churches in association with WBNG TV. With thanks to our Town Square media stations for playing this on the radio. I'm Jeff Kellam, and I hope that in the coming week you will be gentle with people and with yourself. Oh, but before we go, a recent headline in the Binghamton paper read, "Virus and economic crisis drive fears of hunger." During these difficult days, please remember the growing need in our community to help neighbors struggling with food insecurity. Contributions of non-perishable food and your financial gifts to CHOW, the Community Hunger Outreach Warehouse, will help feed our hungry neighbors.